The retirement party for Richard Chun was everything my father had hoped for. 30 years with Morrison and Associates deserved celebration. And the firm had rented out the entire top floor of the Riverside Club, 200 guests, open bar, a jazz quartet, and a view of the city that made everyone feel more important than they actually were. I arrived at 6:47 p.m., exactly 30 minutes late. Late enough to avoid the awkward early arrivals, early enough to not be remarked upon. I perfected this timing over years of family functions where my presence was required but not particularly desired. My brother Kevin was already holding court near the bar, his voice carrying across the room. The building is pre-war, original hardwood floors, exposed brick. The master bedroom alone is bigger than most studio apartments. His girlfriend Amanda nodded enthusiastically, showing people photos on her phone. The kitchen is completely renovated. Marble countertops, professional-grade appliances. Kevin got such an amazing deal. Mom and Dad stood beside them, beaming with parental pride. Our son, the Manhattan apartment owner, Mom said to anyone who would listen. Just 32 years old and already established in the city. I grabbed a glass of wine from a passing server and found a quiet corner near the windows. The party flowed around me like water around a stone present, but largely unnoticed. Emily Chun, is that you? I turned to find David Morrison, my father's boss and the founder of Morrison and Associates. He was 73, silver-haired, and walked with the confident stride of someone who built an accounting firm from nothing into a regional powerhouse. Mr. Morrison, I said, shaking his extended hand. Congratulations on 30 years of having my father on staff. That takes serious patience. He laughed, a genuine bark of amusement. Your father is one of the best senior accountants I've ever employed. Detail-oriented, ethical, reliable. I'm losing a good man to retirement. He's earned it, I said. And speaking of earning things, David said, his smile widening. Congratulations on selling your company for $8.1 million. I saw the announcement in TechCrunch last week. Dataflux Solutions acquired by Prometheus Analytics. Very impressive multiple on your revenue. The wine glass in Kevin's girlfriend's hand paused mid-journey to her lips. My brother's voice died mid-sentence, the words about his apartment's crown molding evaporating into silence. My parents turned in unison, their faces identical masks of confusion. Dad's voice came out strangled. Her company. I smiled politely at David Morrison, acutely aware that every person within a 15-foot radius had stopped their conversations. Thank you, Mr. Morrison. The acquisition closed on Tuesday. We're excited about the partnership with Prometheus. You should be, David continued, oblivious to the shock radiating from my family. Dataflux was brilliant. The predictive analytics platform you built, that's the future of data management. How long did it take you to develop the core algorithm? About 18 months, I said. Though the company itself has been operational for 4 years. 4 years, David repeated, shaking his head admiringly. From startup to $8.1 million exit in 4 years. And you did it while, he gestured around, while your father thought you were working as an administrative assistant somewhere, right, Richard? Dad's face had gone from confused to pale. Yes. Emily works in administration. She certainly does, David said with a laugh. She administered 23 employees, secured $4.7 million in venture funding, and landed contracts with 17 Fortune 500 companies. That's my kind of administration. Mom found her voice, though it came out smaller than usual. Emily has a company? Had a company, David corrected. She sold it. Smart move, too. The market for data analytics firms is hot right now, but it won't stay that way forever. She got out at the peak. He turned back to me. What's next for you? Another startup? Or are you taking some time to enjoy the windfall? I'm joining Prometheus as VP of Product Development, I said. Part of the acquisition terms. 2-year contract, then we'll see. Fantastic, David said. Listen, I have some colleagues in the tech sector who'd love to pick your brain about emerging trends in predictive analytics. Would you be open to speaking at our quarterly executive forum? I'd be honored, I said. Excellent. I'll have my assistant send you the details. He clapped my father on the shoulder. Richard, you must be bursting with pride. A daughter who builds and sells a multi-million-dollar company before she's 35, 33. I corrected quietly. Even more impressive, David said. Well, I need to make the rounds. Emily, we'll talk soon. Richard, enjoy your retirement. You've earned it. He walked away, leaving a silence that felt thick enough to cut. Kevin recovered first. You sold a company for $8 million? The acquisition price was $8.1 million, I said. But after investor equity distribution, legal fees, and tax implications, my personal net is closer to $4.9 million. Your personal net, Mom repeated faintly. You personally made $5 million? $4.9 million, I corrected. Plus the VP salary at Prometheus, which is $340,000 annually with equity options. Kevin's mouth opened and closed several times without producing sound. Amanda had gone completely still, her phone forgotten in her hand. Dad looked like someone had just told him the laws of physics had been repealed. You have a company. You've had a company. For 4 years. Had, I agreed. Past tense as of Tuesday. What kind of company? Mom asked. Data analytics. We built a predictive platform that helped businesses forecast market trends and consumer behavior. Our clients included Microsoft, Amazon, and Tesla, among others. Microsoft, Kevin said weakly. You had Microsoft as a client? And 17 other Fortune 500 companies, I confirmed. Our retention rate was 94%, which is part of why Prometheus was interested in acquiring us. Dad sat down heavily in the nearest chair. How did we not know about this? I told you, I said simply. 3 years and 8 months ago. At Sunday dinner. I said I was starting a data analytics company. You said that's nice, honey, and asked Kevin about his quarterly sales numbers at the dealership. I don't remember that, Dad said. I do, I said. You were having pot roast. Kevin had just sold his first BMW that week. You spent 40 minutes discussing his commission structure. Mom's face was doing complex emotional mathematics. But you live in that small apartment in Brooklyn. You drive a Honda Civic. You dress like someone who doesn't care about impressing people with material possessions, I suggested. Yes, I do. But you have millions of dollars, Amanda said, speaking for the first time. Why would you live like that? Because a bigger apartment wouldn't make me happier, I said. The Honda runs perfectly well. And I like my clothes. Kevin had found his voice again, and with it his defensiveness. So what? You've just been pretending to be poor while sitting on a fortune. I wasn't pretending anything, I said. I was building a company, living below my means, reinvesting profits into growth. That's how businesses work. You let us think you were struggling, Mom said, and there was accusation in her voice. You assumed I was struggling, I corrected. I never said I was. Every time you asked about work, I told you about the company, about our clients, about our growth. You heard data and computers and your eyes glazed over. Dad's colleague from the firm, Susan Martinez, approached with a warm smile. Emily, I just heard about the acquisition. Your father must be thrilled. We're still processing the news, Dad managed. Susan laughed. I can imagine. Though Richard, you must have known something. Emily's been featured in Forbes 30 Under 30, gave that TED Talk on ethical data usage, and won the Entrepreneur of the Year award from the Tech Council last year. You must have been following her success. I was in Forbes, Dad said faintly. And gave a TED Talk, Susan confirmed. I showed it to my team at work. The insights on privacy and predictive modeling were fascinating. She turned to me. Are you still doing consulting on the side? I'd love to bring you in to advise on a project we're developing. I can probably make some time, I said. Send me the details. Wonderful. Richard, congratulations on your retirement. Emily, we'll be in touch. She walked away, leaving another crater of silence. A TED Talk, Kevin said. You gave a TED Talk. Last March, I said. In Vancouver. It has about 2.3 million views. 2 million people have watched you give a speech, Mom said. And we had no idea. I sent you the link, I said. You texted back a thumbs up emoji. Dad stood abruptly. I need some air. He walked toward the balcony. Mom followed after a moment, leaving me with Kevin and Amanda. Kevin's face had gone through several color changes, finally settling on an angry red. This is such typical Emily behavior. Making everyone else look bad by pretending to be better than them. I'm not pretending anything, I said tiredly. And I'm not trying to make you look bad. You just let Dad's boss announce in front of everyone that you sold a company for millions while I was talking about my apartment. You were the one talking about your apartment, I pointed out. For about 40 minutes, according to the 3 people I overheard who were trying to escape the conversation. Amanda touched Kevin's arm. Kev, maybe we should… No, he said sharply. I want to understand this. You've had this whole secret life, this whole secret success, and you never thought to mention it. I mentioned it constantly, I said. You weren't listening. There's a difference. Because you're so subtle about everything, Kevin said sarcastically. So quiet, so modest. Meanwhile, you're closing million-dollar deals and giving speeches to thousands of people. The TED audience was about 1,800, I corrected. And yes, I'm quiet. That doesn't mean I'm not capable. Clearly, Kevin said bitterly. Out on the balcony, I could see my parents in intense conversation. Dad's hands were gesturing animatedly. Mom kept shaking her head. Amanda cleared her throat. For what it's worth, Emily, congratulations. That's a really impressive achievement.
Thank you, I said. Kevin shot her a betrayed look.
Are you serious right now? Yes, Amanda said firmly. She built a company and sold it for $8 million. That's impressive regardless of how we found out about it. 4.9 million, I corrected again. Net. Oh, well then, practically poverty, Kevin said. I finished my wine and set the glass on a nearby table. I'm going to go.
Tell Dad congratulations on his retirement. You're leaving? Kevin said. Just like that?
Just like that, I confirmed. I came to support Dad. I've supported him. Now I'm leaving before this gets any more uncomfortable. I was almost to the elevator when my father's voice stopped me. Emily, wait, I turned. He was walking toward me, Mom a few steps behind. We need to talk, Dad said. Do we? I asked. Because I've tried talking to you about my work for 4 years, and you've never been interested. He flinched. That's not fair, isn't it? I challenged. Name one client I've told you about, one project. One milestone. He opened his mouth, closed it. I don't… Microsoft, I supplied. I told you about landing Microsoft as a client 2 years ago. You said that sounds complicated and changed the subject to Kevin's promotion to senior sales associate. I didn't realize it was important, he said weakly. Microsoft wasn't important? I asked. Or I wasn't important? Mom had tears in her eyes. We're proud of you, sweetheart. We're so proud. Are you? I asked. Or are you proud of the dollar amount? Because I've been doing impressive work for 4 years and you've never once asked about it. We're asking now, Dad said. Because David Morrison told you to be impressed, I said. Not because you actually care about what I do. That's not true, Mom said. Then prove it, I said. Tell me one thing about Dataflux. One feature, one service, one anything that I've told you about. They looked at each other helplessly. You can't, I said quietly, because you've never listened. Not really. You listen to Kevin talk about car sales for hours, but when I mention algorithm development, your eyes glaze over.
It's technical, Dad said.
We don't understand that world. You never tried to understand, I corrected. Understanding isn't the same as interest. You could have asked questions. Tried to learn. Shown any indication that you cared about my passion the way you care about Kevin's. The elevator dinged. The doors opened.
Emily, please, Mom said. Don't leave like this.
Not at your father's party. This isn't about the party, I said. This is about 33 years of being the afterthought child. The one who's quiet and therefore must not have anything interesting to say. I stepped into the elevator. Dad put his hand on the door to stop it from closing. How do we fix this? He asked. I don't know if you can, I said honestly. But you could start by actually caring about my life, not the money. Not the achievement. The actual work I do and why I love it. We will, Dad promised. We'll do better. I've heard that before, I said. After my college graduation that you almost missed. After my dissertation defense that you didn't attend. After the company launch party where you left after 20 minutes, his face fell. I forgot about those, I know, I said. That's the problem. I gently removed his hand from the door. It closed, carrying me down toward the lobby. My phone buzzed before I reached the ground floor. A text from Kevin. This is classic Emily. Make a scene and run away. I didn't respond. Another text. This one from Amanda. I think what you've built is incredible. Kevin's just processing. Give him time. I replied, thank you. In my car, I sat for a moment before starting the engine. The night city stretched out around me, full of light and movement and people living their lives. My phone rang. David Morrison's name appeared on the screen. Mr. Morrison, I answered. Emily, I hope I'm not calling at a bad time. I just realized I may have created some family drama up there. You revealed information my family should have already known, I said. That's not your fault, he sighed. Your father really didn't know about data flux? He knew I worked with data. He didn't know anything else because he never asked. I'm sorry, David said. That must be difficult. It is what it is. Well, for what it's worth, I've known your father for 20 years. He's a good man. Not always the most attentive to things outside his immediate sphere, but good. Maybe this is the wake-up call he needs. Maybe, I said. And Emily, you should be incredibly proud of what you've built. Not just the company. The reputation. The respect you've earned in the industry. That matters more than the dollar amount. Thank you, I said and meant it. I drove home to my small Brooklyn apartment. 1 bedroom, original hardwood floors, a kitchen the size of a closet. But it was mine, paid for with money I'd earned building something from nothing. The walls were covered with whiteboards filled with equations and diagrams. The shelves held books on machine learning, statistical analysis, and predictive modeling. My laptop sat on the desk, still open to the Prometheus Analytics integration timeline. This was my life. Quiet, focused, purposeful. The money was nice. The security it provided was real. But the satisfaction came from solving complex problems, from building something elegant and effective, from proving that quiet didn't mean incapable. My phone buzzed again. This time, my father. Can we meet for coffee tomorrow? I'd like to hear about your work. Really hear about it. I stared at the message for a long moment before responding. Okay, but I need you to understand something first. This isn't about impressing you with success. This is about you actually caring about what I do. His response came immediately. I understand. I want to learn, to really understand. Then tomorrow at 10 a.m., my favorite coffee shop. I'll send you the address. I'll be there. I set down the phone and looked around my apartment. Small, simple, home. Kevin's Manhattan apartment had marble countertops and exposed brick. Mine had whiteboards and second-hand furniture and a laptop that changed the world, even if my family hadn't noticed. Tomorrow I'd try again. I'd explain the work, the passion, the purpose behind data flux. I'd give my father a chance to truly see me. But tonight, I sat in my quiet apartment and allowed myself to feel proud, not of the money. Not of the acquisition price or the Forbes feature or the TED Talk views. Proud of building something meaningful, of solving problems that mattered, of proving that success doesn't require volume or visibility. The quiet ones, I'd learned, often do the most interesting work. We just do it without needing an audience. Though apparently, sometimes the audience finds you anyway. Even if it takes an $8.1 million acquisition announcement and your father's boss to make them pay attention. I opened my laptop and returned to the integration timeline. Prometheus was waiting. The work continued. And tomorrow, maybe my father would finally ask the questions he should have asked 4 years ago. Maybe, but if he didn't, I'd still be okay. Because I built something extraordinary. And I'd done it entirely on my own terms.